It's finally time. Whose time? Ethereum's time. A lot is happening on ETH. Question is, will ETH get to a new all-time high by next month? We're going to have that discussion. A lot happening on chain. Value of Ethereum being staked is reaching all-time highs. Ethereum inflows is reaching all-time highs. Activity is reaching new highs. And will there be one project that's going to move the needle and reignite DeFi on Ethereum? We'll have that conversation. We have Magic Internet Money joining us to break down the crypto and Bitcoin charts. We'll have him take a look at Bitcoin. We'll have him take a look at ETH. Also, we're going to have him take a look at Internet Computer Protocol. It's been a while since we looked at that chart. And then we got some news on Ripple as they score another massive partnership. And finally, the NASDAQ. They've added 5 new cryptocurrencies, altcoins specifically, to their NASDAQ crypto ETF. Which ones are they? What do they mean? We'll talk about that and much, much more on today's episode of SINCITY Crypto. Let's go.
Your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto, home of the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency content. We take old, boring, stale information, repackage it all up in a fun, sexy way. And well, what a day we had yesterday. Looked like we were about to break all-time highs. Got over 110,000 off the back of, well, Donald Trump's handing out money again. Last time this happened, you remember those COVID checks that airdropped everyone, and then all of a sudden altcoin season went crazy, and well, we saw Cardano go from 5 cents to $2 in just a short period of time, and everyone became a crypto millionaire. Well, at least in spirit. Some realize it in their portfolios, most just watch it go up and down. But the time is here again. The printing has started. We're talking about cutting perhaps interest rates by 1%. Donald Trump demands it. Donald Trump is printing money.
Okay, you are really dumb money. He demands it, so they're going to do it.
I didn't say that
You said they're handing out money. Who are they handing out money to?
$1,000 to
Two kids aren't even born yet.
It's still printing of money? It's just the beginning.
What's wrong with you, bro? Something's wrong.
Well, let me ask you a question. Are you telling me that giant rally that we had yesterday, where we almost broke all-time highs, we saw Bitcoin go from, what was Bitcoin's price prior to the breakout yesterday? Let's take a quick look. We were at 108,000. We shot up to 110. That was right off of the bat. Same time, Donald Trump announced, hey, we're going to give $1,000 to every person in America that was born this year, and moving forward as well. And so
In the stock market.
Yeah. You're injecting now whether or not they can realize it or not, right? Just let's just think how many kids are born every year, right?
Robin, they're gonna put in the S&P 500. They're not gonna go buy Ethereum with it.
Annual what is it? Annual birth rates. Oh, we gotta check out ChatGPT here. Annual birth rates of America.
I can't believe you're really going to try to make this point.
All right, here. So U.S. birth rates per, okay, so roughly 4 million. So roughly 4 million kids are born every year in America. So that means $4 billion, right?
Yeah.
So $4 billion is going to get invested in the S&P 500 every year. And you know what? Sure, whatever you want to say, they can't cash it out. But what is happening, however, is that you're injecting $4 billion into the index funds, into U.S. companies, into the stock market every single year. You don't think that's bullish? I'm just like, of all the things that you get excited about, oh, we're going to cut interest rates by 0.25%. If you just said, hey, the U.S. is forcing its citizens to buy into the stock market $1,000 per person. It's just injection of capital straight into the U.S. stock market.
Okay.
You don't think that's bullish? No, I'm like genuinely surprised.
I don't.
You don't think?
I mean, it's great. If I had a kid between now and 2030,
I'm not talking about a kid. I'm talking about for a cryptocurrency show, for a show in finance, for a show that we always talk about U.S. economy. We talk about the Dow Jones, we talk about the NASDAQ, the S&P 500. We talk ad nauseum about the CPIs and all of this. You spend all this time talking about it, and then the U.S. is literally buying its own economy, right? That's what we're doing. They're printing money into their own economy. That's more bullish to me than any kind of quantitative easing, because this goes directly into the stock market, directly into the economy.
You think it's more bullish than quantitative easing, where they just hand people money?
But they're putting it directly into the stock market.
How does that have anything to do with crypto?
Okay. How about this? A certain percentage of every. Okay, now the U.S. is printing money and giving it straight to MicroStrategy. They're in the S&P 500. They're giving money straight to Coinbase, right? They're in the S&P 500. Yeah. I mean, it's. I don't understand. Like, honestly, like I saw that and I was like, holy crap! I thought genuinely when I saw that headline, I thought we were going straight to 120,000. That's how bullish I am on it. And it's a signal that, like, hey, one, the U.S. is just straight pouring money into the stock market. They're literally, and this is a day after, now whether or not anything happens, that's to be seen, but a day after Donald Trump said, hey, Jerome Powell, cut rates by a full 1%. Is he going to do it? Probably not. More than likely not. Actually, like very little chance that he does that. But
there's zero chance he does 1% unless something happens.
He also did say that his cabinet is picking another Fed chair that is going to side with Donald Trump's policies.
I will only have to wait a year for him to come in office.
Yeah, but
got another year of Jerome Powell.
You could also force Jerome Powell's hand and force him to retire.
I don't think that's going to happen either.
You never know.
Maybe.
If Donald Trump comes out here and says you need to cut rates, and let's just say he already came out and said you need to cut rates by 1%, right? Now, if Jerome Powell doesn't cut rates again, and let's just say the tariffs have more of an impact on a U.S. economy than what we're expecting, and we get more of a drawdown in the U.S. economy, and Donald Trump starts flipping out like he normally does, name calling, and taking it to a whole nother level, I'm going to fire him. I'm going to get rid of the Fed. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm telling you, wouldn't be surprised if Jerome Powell is gone prior to his term ending.
Maybe. I just don't think that's as bullish as people think it is in the very short term. When I say very short term, I mean like
making every U.S. citizen that's born from 2025 and on invest in the U.S. economy and print money to do so. About as bullish as it gets, bro.
So
I mean,
bullish, man.
No, I mean honestly, bro. Like, okay, let me ask you another question. If you got a check, if Donald Trump said, "Hey, we're writing a check for $1,000 for every person," would you think that's bullish?
Yeah, they did it during COVID.
Then what is the difference? Except for this time, they're forcing you to put it into the stock market. At least before, they gave you $1,800 or $1,600, whatever it was.
People do with it?
And then they went out. Some people paid bills with it. Some people went out, bought Jordans. Some people invested in the stock market. Some people bought crypto. At least this time around, $1,000 is forced invested into the stock market. No question, ifs, ands, or buts about it.
You're talking about 200 million people getting checks versus 4 million babies.
I know that.
Pretty big. Yeah.
But at least the 4 million babies are forced to invest, while the other 200 million individuals, they could do what they please. There was a lot of people at Louis Vuitton, a lot of people at Gucci. There was a lot of people buying cars. However, this time around, all 4 million of them babies
those were the good
have invested in the S&P 500. Also, 4 million babies now own a slice of Bitcoin through Coinbase and through MicroStrategy.
Those were the good days when people had to buy Louis Vuitton and Prada. Now, never mind. I want to talk about Ethereum. Thanks for taking over the show with that, Rob. Appreciate it. Always come with a good insight there, my friend. It's so funny. You know, Rob and I have been doing the show for 4 years together. And there's certain cues, we know of each other. I know what kind of sets him off. I for the most part feel like I know what he gets excited about when I go through the articles. I did not think he would be that excited about that piece of news. So, hey, I guess you still learn something new every day.
How do you not get excited?
I don't want to get back into the convo. I just made a
The
statement.
U.S. force bought stock market.
Made a statement. Now we're moving. And it's 3.62 million babies, not 4.
And real quick, if you think it's bullish,
I'm not
if
saying
you're bullish on the U.S. making every baby invest in the stock market per $1,000 per baby, if you think that's bullish for the U.S. economy, put a 1 in the chat. If it's not that big of a story and you do a side laugh and giggle and look at your co-host weird, put a 2 in the chat. Thank you.
I didn't say it's not bullish. It's just not. Anyways, back to the article. Ethereum rallies above 2,700 as the SEC signals support for DeFi. Now, this is something to get excited about. Okay, let's take a listen. This is Paul Atkins, the new chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission in the United States of America.
Another core feature of blockchain technology is the ability of individuals to have self-custody of crypto assets in a personal digital wallet. The right to have self-custody of one's private property is a foundational American value that should not disappear when one logs on to the internet. I'm in favor of affording greater flexibility to market participants to self-custody crypto assets, especially where intermediation imposes unnecessary transaction costs or restricts the ability to engage in staking and other on-chain activities.
That was the chairman of the SEC. What a difference a year makes, huh? Just a year ago, we had Gary Gensler making HR videos with actual stakes. And now we have Paul Atkins talking about it's every American's right to self-custody and pretty much just do DeFi. This is great. We also, on top of the good Ethereum news, we have the ETFs are surging. BlackRock's ETHA leads massive inflows. Ethereum exchange-traded funds, also known as ETFs, are experiencing a significant surge in interest, with total holdings nearing 3.8 million ETH, representing a market value of over $10.5 billion. iShares Ethereum Trust has quickly established itself as the leading Ethereum ETF, holding an impressive 1.526 million ETH as of June 9th of this year. It also recorded substantial inflows with a staggering 13,620 ETH in one day of net inflows and an even more remarkable 90,662 ETH over the past 7 days. We also have this. Staked Ethereum hits a new all-time high of 34.65 million ETH, making up almost 30% of the current circulating supply. We also have this. AI agents are coming. First ETH native one drops tomorrow, and you're not even ready. This is what our guest Nick brought up yesterday with Iris. Genesis launch on Virtuals, the first to be native on ETH, not Base. And I think Nick really hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of money sloshing around in ETH. You take a look at TVL. It's up 5.7% over the last 24 hours, currently sitting at 64.85 billion. Just to put it in perspective, okay? ETH is sitting at 60, we'll call it 65 billion. Solana is sitting at 9. It's a pretty big gap from number 1 to number 2. And to Nick's point again yesterday, what are these people that they haven't had anything to be excited about, right? NFTs, people are excited about. You saw what it did to ETH. Meme coins, everyone was excited about. You know what it did to ETH, right? Pepe and all the other ones. Well, what's next? What are people excited about? And I really think these AI agents launching on ETH. So you have a slew of all this bullishness for Ethereum. And we'll get Magic on here in a second to go over the ETH chart. And ETH is currently trading above $2,700, sitting at $2,740. Look at the last month. It's up 10%. Over the last 7 days, up 4%. We take a peek at the top 10, I believe Ethereum is the #1 gainer in the top 12, up 6.4%. I put a Patreon post up yesterday, kind of sharing my thoughts on where I think the market is and where the market's going. And it was fairly centered around Ethereum's progress and what we see from ETH. With that being said, I guess I'll get Rob's take and then we'll bring on Magic. Rob, let me guess, you're not bullish at all.
No, man. I told you yesterday. I'm like, you know what? I think current price action on ETH. It seems though, we went into the weekend. We saw a lot of inflows on ETH, which we discussed yesterday, and ETH pretty damn far away from its previous all-time highs. It was something that was near. Was it $5,000?
It's not that far away. It's like a 70%.
4,700. Here's my point. My whole point is that Bitcoin's last cycle all-time high was 60,000.
So you're saying relative to other
Yeah. So Bitcoin's all-time high previous cycle 2021 60,000, right? 60,000 some change. ETH 4,700, 4,800. And ETH is almost 50% off, or about 40% off of its previous all-time highs. Yet Bitcoin is outperformed dramatically. We've also seen XRP and you could say Solana, at least in this year, has outperformed. Solana's a lot closer to its previous all-time highs from last cycle. Last cycle was 200 and you got like 230. So Solana, it crossed its previous all-time high, set a new all-time high this cycle. And so I just kind of look at the biggest crypto out there, Bitcoin, which is harder to move in market cap, has outpaced Ethereum by leaps and bounds. Ethereum's #1 competitor, Solana, has outperformed ETH. The third crypto in line here, XRP, dramatically outperformed ETH.
Okay, bro.
And so
okay, everything's outperforming Ethereum. We're talking about right now.
That's my point exactly, is that it's behind in the market. And you know what? I've been talking about this for a while. I was like, hey, look, why are you in ETH? That's stupid. Don't do that. And now,
and there was one person that
there was an opportunity. And when ETH dropped down to 1,800, I changed my tune real quick. I said, look here, guys. This might be a good time to buy ETH. I will never tell this. I will never say this again. But then yet, here I go yesterday, I said it again. And I said, you know what? It should be something to keep your radar antennas up.
Don't worry,
because the ETF inflow said that there was a lot of intention, and there's just a certain vibe going on, right?
Rob,
Bitcoin broke out. There was a certain vibe going on.
Rob, you're a good analyst. But to be a great analyst, you have to try to foreshadow what's to come. That's why I'm here. You guys are very welcome. Hopefully you didn't listen to my co-host here about Ethereum. Hopefully you did buy Ethereum on the way down and on the way up to around $2,000. If you did, you're sitting real pretty. With that being said, I'd like to bring on my friend, Magic Internet Money, who's never swayed me away from Ethereum. Magic, welcome back to the show, brother. How you doing?
Further ado, did you just call me pretty?
I did. Yeah. I meant every word of it, too.
I'll take it. I'll take what I can get.
Appreciate you. Magic, you remember the good old days where there was one of us who said, don't buy ETH, and the other guy said, you're crazy? Yeah, those are good days. Anyways, I'd like to move on from that topic of conversation. Tell my friend's feelings are getting hurt over here. Okay, Rob? Magic, can we take usually we start with Bitcoin. Since we're on the topic of Ethereum, can we take a peek at ETH? I do have a poll up, Magic, for our community. Will ETH get to new all-time highs by July? I'd love for you to comment on that if you'd like to. If not, I totally understand. But what does the road to all-time high look like, at least if you're not going to answer that?
Sure. Not a lot has changed for us in terms of road to all-time high. It has shifted down, actually, from when we covered a little bit more extensively earlier in the cycle, much earlier. We're in linear scale, but we're going to switch to log in a second. Again, just really highlighting that One, this quarterly low that was over here is our big, resistance locally, but in reality, we need to see ourselves living back above, give or take, $3,200. So moving out of that, you'll see the gold pocket is going to shift from log here to where we are. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one. Above here, good things happen, essentially. You can see it on the weekly chart, monthly chart. It's nice. You're now putting pressure right up against your local resistance, which is your trend-based gold pocket. Okay, so that's where this one topped out at around 4K. If you were to take the last cycle low to high to the current cycle low, right? So we'll turn that on just as a fresh reminder for anyone who's not familiar with the tool. All right, so all we're doing is we're taking this low to this high and then dragging to this low. It's just, obviously spread out. But if you were to go like so, that's how it looks. Okay, so it looks a little cleaner this way. And that's the resistance we're at. If that's cleared, it's very similar to how we look at Bitcoin with the exact same tool. We start looking for the one-to-one around $5,600. So for me, is there a path to all-time highs for Ethereum? I think that there is, and it resides above about $3,200. That's when I start to get I think the probabilities at that time really start to sway towards this thing is probably consolidating. You are getting higher lows, and it is going to make an all-time high this cycle. Now, is it going to reach like $20,000 or anything? Me personally, I don't believe so. I've had these as my major targets for this asset in this cycle. If it were to go like ham sandwich, I'm looking up here into this box, and that's really far away, and it's almost not worth talking about at this point. But if it went crazy and there was like a parabolic, Bitcoin mania, crypto mania, blow off top, like we've seen in the past, you're still looking at like $8,000 to $9,000 Ethereum, maybe front running 10K even. But realistically, I start looking just above the highs around 5,600. But this is a very large structure, and a breakout of this into new all-time highs to hit something like this does imply that Bitcoin runs the full length of the 4-year cycle into the end of the year, probably. And that's where these targets can become reality. But before we get ahead of ourselves, again, we're at tradable levels now. Up to about 3,200 is where I'm looking at for the next real reaction, I guess, for me to maybe sway myself further into the camp that Ethereum is going to make new highs. So yeah, $3,200. If you start losing any ground here, I mean, it's pretty far away in my opinion, but I think at this point, we're 10 days into this month. You can see that we've got a really nice set of weekly candles up here that led in from May into June. So you don't want to just use the June low. Like you could, but you want to get a little more context and look and see that you've just left all these lows. And if you were to, come down here and start losing this like $2,300, $2,400 level, you're probably looking all the way back down into that prior month high, which is fairly far away at 1954. So to me currently, you've got a nice range between 2,300, give or take, up to about 3K. And it may come up here and get some resistance at 3,200. And I think those are the trades, if you're trading this, to be aware of. But if you're more of an investor, you get excited above 3,200, I think. I think that at least I would, as a holder anyway, at that point. So yeah, I mean, it's just a chart, man. It's a good chart as of right now. It looked pretty bad right here, but now it looks okay.
Sweet, dude. For me, it was really hard to just completely punt on ETH because of the amount of money in there. And Magic, prior to you coming on, I kind of laid out what's happening with ETH from on chain and from kind of a narrative perspective. And I really think, man, like people keep saying when alt season. You want a classic alt season, you need ETH to run and make new all-time highs. It's just a simple matter of the fact. There's so many EVM chains and money flows, especially this cycle. Every cycle it gets more kind of fluid and interconnected, and this cycle is no different. And so we talk about ETH plays. AAVE is up massive. Some of the stablecoin issuers on ETH are up massive, or stablecoin kind of projects, Curve, Convex, those are up huge. And AI is up big too. And I think with the virtuals launch on ETH tomorrow, I think it's going to bring a lot of attention. It's going to draw a lot of money that's kind of sitting dormant in that ETH ecosystem, plus the ETFs buying, plus the new, again, I just laid it all out. And so for me, the answer to my own poll I have here is, will ETH get to new all-time high by July? I think yes. I'm in the yes column. And so I ended the poll magic, and it's at 59% yes, 31% no. Excuse me, 41% no. And so, okay, so on from ETH, let's take a peek at BTC. Rob
Okay.
thought that we were going to get to like 120K yesterday. We didn't. Surprise, surprise, he was wrong. He's never wrong. And is that of concern to you, Magic? That's what are you on the weekly time frame there, Magic?
Yeah, this is a weekly here.
Yeah, so we have
Um,
essentially twice on a wick where we almost try to tap that new all-time high or that level you have up there. Does this tell you that there's just not enough momentum right now from the bulls to take this thing to new all-time highs?
I wouldn't say that necessarily, not yet. What was really important was recognizing the setup that was in play. And we talked about it last week. You asked me what was going to happen. I said, you're going to get a little bit of both. You're going to get up and down. And the reason I said that was you had this specific weekly candle right here, if you recall. And what this candle is what's called an inside bar. You can see that the week here had a low and a high, and this one lived with inside it. And you only see that every so often. If you went back on Bybit's chart, in fact, there's only like, what was it, 21 and 41 instances. So excluding data past 2018 because it doesn't go back far enough. So there's not a ton of times that this happens. Happens roughly 10 times a year, I guess. So in that instance, you have a very specific setup. 62.5% of the time, I found that you will actually take the low of the week, and that long will result in a 75% chance of at least coming back to the EQ of the prior week, meaning this year. So on a 4-hour time basis, you're expecting to see this low taken, and you're at least expecting to see right around 106.9. And that was kind of our level last week that we said, if we get above that level, we're expecting a challenge of the highs, and still expecting that, to be quite upfront with you. I do change my mind. I reserve my right to be wrong and change my mind at specific levels. And realistically, it's going to be same type of stuff that we're always looking at. You're going to be looking at like your previous week high, your weekly open, things like that. Now, in this case, you have a really nice local setup for people that are into trading or want to just kind of know what's happening here. You get a really quick move up. So a lot of people are getting kind of flushed out here. Nothing too concerning yet. But what you want to pay attention to is this previous day point of control. And the reason you do is you closed outside of yesterday's range. So this is actually referred to as a Dalton 80-20 setup. You can Google it and find it. A guy that studies market profiles is the one who made it famous. But you can see you closed yesterday outside of the range. You found acceptance back into it. And so now you would be targeting the point of control. In his statistics, it was an 80% likelihood that you would see that point of control and potentially rotate the range. I believe we've back tested it using other softwares like ExoCharts, and it was closer to like 70. So, not quite as high as they think, but still a pretty decent trading idea. And so you'd be looking at this previous day point of control as a pretty likely target as you've made your way well within yesterday's range, below the previous day value area high here, right? So if we get back above this, it sits about 109,451. Things look a little different, and we can say maybe we scrap that idea, and this is one of those 3 out of 10 times it doesn't play. But until that happens, that's kind of the idea. So if I was looking for a long on a pullback, which I am generally, I'm looking right around here at this gold pocket. And main reason being is it's got a nice confluence with the previous week high. So this is kind of the first area on my radar that if we reach it, I'm interested in taking this play, because a lot of people are going to be looking for lower prices. It's not just going to come down to the previous week high, though. If you look at your current June range, so we're looking at the volume profile for June, and just to date, you'll notice it's also going to be the value area high of that developing range. So you've got a lot of confluence here to say that this is kind of the area, the zone that you want to have marked off to look for a reaction. We know it's a big target already. Just statistically, this is going to be the area I want to trade. Now, if that area is lost, I'm going to overlook the point of control completely, even though there are some other things there. And I shift my eyes, to another target that we have every week. And that's, again, the weekly pivot, which is down here at 104. And that to me becomes the I wouldn't say make or break, but it becomes really important to me that this box here holds. And it's kind of a wide box. I understand that both of these aren't exact numbers, but humor me, guys. We're not all exact numbers sometimes. So this weekly pivot here, underneath our first reaction zone is very important. And so that's where this rally, I start to say, maybe doesn't look to challenge the highs anymore. And I immediately turn all the way down to like the yearly open would be the next area that I'd be interested in, down here at like 93. And then I'm not interested until this white line here after that. So really simple levels and setups. But if we can hold these zones and challenge for new highs, I do think that you have a good shot at trying to make your way into the R2 here, which is a standard, expansion off of the halving data that we have from May of 2020 to April of 2024. And this would be the second expansion zone that you'd be looking for at 114K, which we've promptly front run. So that's the next tradable area for a short for me if we take the highs. And it is a zone. I should really emphasize that it's a zone because when you get to numbers like this, I mean, give or take $1,000, it's kind of like, yeah, I mean, Bitcoin has really done itself, outdone itself, I guess, this cycle and pushing to these numbers, I think. But if you were to look at like a true cycle here now, you could easily look at like logarithmic targets. And this is, again, what we just looked at on ETH. It's a logarithmic based gold pocket. It's, a trend based one in this case, where you're taking the low of the prior cycle. So we're going from 3K all the way up to 69K. And then we're coming back down to that 15K low, and we're projecting for a move. And this is usually where we top out in cycles, actually, in log scale. And you can see it gives you kind of a zone up to 116. So, if we do end up making new highs and holding on to these regions, I'm still looking at 114 to 116 as being problematic. And then the 200 expansion rate actually does go up to like 124. So there is some validity to those numbers. But yeah, I mean, that's all I'm looking at. Point blank, it's just very easy to me right now to trade this. You've got a really clear invalidation at 104. I think below here, and you've got to start looking back down. And it's not the end of the world if it comes back down to this region of the chart. It would be, again, another really nice just gold pocket retrace right on a major level. And it's the next place I want to take a trade. And that's really all you need to do, I think, is just mark these places out and maybe relax a little bit. But it is exciting. It is exciting to watch all this.
Sweet. Magic, I want to play a game.
Okay.
So you see the screen?
Yes.
What do we see here, my friends? And I want the chat to play along. Well, what's the common denominator? Let's take a look. Who's up the most? Uniswap up 24. MakerDAO and Sky, they're one. They're rebranding. Maker's rebranding Sky. AAVE, Lido, Optimism, Arbitrum, Ethereum name service, Floki, Curve, Virtuals, Link. What do these all have in common? You want to take a wild guess?
Go for it.
They're Ethereum ecosystem. They're all Ethereum ecosystem altcoins. And so when I'm trying to tell everyone we need ETH to move to get an alt season, this is what we mean. And it brings everything up with it. VeChain's up, Hyperliquid's up, Fartcoin is up, Pepe's up. Even Cosmos is up. Which Cosmos, my God, I don't know. Man, I still have a little bit of that. I am so underwater on that position. So it's just ETH's going to run. I think ETH's time is here. And so with that being said, Magic, I know I had originally asked you for ICP. I'm going to kind of leave it to you. You want to pick an Ethereum ecosystem play here that's on the screen, or you want to stick to the ICP because you have that already queued up? I'll leave it to you, my friend.
We'll look at ICP quickly because that was one I did take a look back at it because I know that we had looked at it a little bit before on your show. And I think we had two boxes because I have a USD and a USDT chart. The USD chart is from last time. USDT is this time. Not that it matters. And I'll just pick whichever one I find first, actually. This one's pretty simple. You've come down. You've made a low. You've made a significant low here, the 2024 low, as you can see, which we're kind of like struggling with, I guess, is the word we'll use because you can see it was a rejection here last month. And this month, we're trying to get back above it. Leaving that quarterly point of control up here at $7.11, and I believe your quarterly pivot's up here. So, so you got like a nice zone here between 7 and 750, kind of as I wouldn't say a major target, but it's a likely target for this as long as it maintains about $5.81. You could probably expect to see that 30 or 40% jump to, these targets, I guess, because that's all they're at 30%. Yeah. But realistically, nothing on this chart changes until you're back above like the yearly open. If you get back above the yearly open, there's still resistance up here, but This is one of those where it's it's such an ugly chart. It's such an ugly chart, but it is what it is. So, I would immediately discount this price action. I know that normally I don't say things like that. I say never do that because, there's always something there, but nothing really gets interesting on this chart in terms of like actual participation that wasn't considered manipulation from the people who launched it until we're basically finding a hole here. So, um, I would suggest just putting on like your VPVR and taking a peek at like what's this look like. You can see that it's really nice lining up just above that 2025 open, right at the quarter one high at like a yearly level here, or the yearly SFP. So somewhere around $12. Um, the other thing that I did with this is I went through and I looked at the yearly pivots for this zone, like 1510, 1048, 1222.60. The average of all three of these comes out to about 1260, which is right in line with, again, this zone right here. So to me, when I look at this, I say, well, this thing could very well be forming a very big bottoming range, and you could see a full rotation up here, which is best case scenario for anyone that's holding it. Because meaning if you're buying below $5, you're looking at over 100% move. So it's not a bad thing. That to me is really the play. I mean, you don't really have a short here where we are. I think that more than likely this is going to see some upside, $7-8, anything above that. And I start looking just above 10 into that like $12 region, which is just a range rotation at that time. You really can't get excited about this thing until it's living above $12, and I'd say 12 or $13 if you want to be exact. Anything above there, and you have a real chance at, I wouldn't say like price discovery, new all-time highs, but you got a real chance at this thing doing some crazy things, like maybe even going as high as like $80. But until that time happens and you get out of this zone, you're probably not going to see that, And the one thing that I noticed right away was just the overall structure of this. And I'm going to get some hate for this one, but it's a pretty long-term play. It's very similar to what I did with QNT. I was looking at this potentially for the asset long-term. Timing wise, it puts you at a bottom in 2026 after a run up here to about $11-12, and then looking for a retrace to try to challenge this high, which would be the pattern at play. It's a very symmetrical pattern as it stands if it plays out that way, which would put you like something like this. Basically, it's called a 3 drives pattern. Very common, puts you back near the lows. People get super bearish. In fact, you make an overall low, and this one plays out that way. But in the meantime, you would be playing this leg here. You're looking for upside. So I think that's the play for now. And your immediate benchmark is going to be between 7 and 750. Anything after that, I'm looking for, $10 to $13, give or take. And yeah, go from there. So yeah, ICP is tradable. I mean, if you lose, I'll say this for anyone that wants to know invalidation on like a long right now, if you go out to like a monthly or yearly chart, it's pretty obvious. You can see that you have, basically been range bound here between the lows at 22 up to here. So we know that the 2024 low is very relevant. It's very much so getting action right now. I'd have it marked off. And then I would just start moving through the time frames into like a 3-month chart, looking at our quarter. You can see you have a prior quarterly chart here, quarter one low. Okay. So this zone becomes very, very key for a price, right? These two little levels, that if this is going to make a higher low and push to these targets, that this has to hold as support. And that if you start losing this area, and I would go as far as to say the quarterly open at 531, but realistically, you're just making a little box here. And if this box is lost, there's no reason it's not going to challenge the low at this point, in my opinion. I mean, I've been wrong before, but I don't see why it wouldn't come back down sub $3 at that time. So being a holder from, almost $5 down, that sucks, because that's a pretty big drop, even though it doesn't seem like it. The percentages start to add up. So that's kind of your hey, I need to get out of this, is if you lose this box here between, what is that, 483 up to 581, kind of a big box. But I put a lot more emphasis on the quarterly open at 531.
Awesome. Great analysis there, Magic. Thank you so much for that. Guys, we have Magic's Discord pinned to the top of the live chat. If you enjoyed Magic's content, I highly recommend you go join his Discord. Just click the link in the top. The Magic, we can see that beautiful face. There we go. I love watching you do TA, man. It's really really good. I love that you work a lot of the high time frames. And so thank you so much. I know you've been coming on our show every Tuesday for feels like forever. And we hope we can keep doing it because we love your insight. We love having you on, and you're just a good dude, man. And so
I
appreciate you,
appreciate it.
brother. Of course, man. And if there's anything we can ever do for you, let us know. If not, we'll see you next week.
Just keep going live on Tuesdays, man. Otherwise, I got nothing to do.
I got you, bro.
You know?
Done. Say less. It's happening. All right, Magic. Take care, my
Thanks,
friend.
guys.
All right. Hey, Rob. Welcome back.
Thank you, bro. I want to say hello to some of the new people here. If you are new, say hello. Give you a little shout out. And started off by saying Brian Baca gave a 5 gifted memberships to the community. So, Brian, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And some new faces: Zombie Fish, Corey Hobbs, Crypto for Columbus.
That's a good one.
Girthin,
That's
hey,
a good one.
Maddie Watts, Crypto Crank, Funk something, The Kid, Dan R, Chef X3, Ty Guy, Julio, Bonaise, and Irvin.
Bolognese? I love bolognese.
Bonaise, Irvin. All of you. Hola! Welcome to SINCITY Credit.
We also had the BitLab Academy folks join us. They were redirected here. So welcome to all the BitLab Academy friends. Hello.
Hola.
Okay. Rob, you weren't here for this, but we were playing a game. And I just feel so left out if I don't show you what the game we played. So the game we played was, guess what this has in common? Guess what the common denominator here is, Rob?
Champagne.
No.
A lot of bubbles.
You would. I'll give you another guess, Rob. Look at the biggest gainers there. Isn't it beautiful?
It's all ETH ecosystem.
There you go.
You know what? Uniswap is up massive,
Crush.
right? MakerDAO and Sky. Sky's the new governance token.
Yeah, the rebranding.
The MakerDAO switch there on governance. AAVE.
Crushing.
You got Arbitrum, Optimism,
ENS.
ENS. I mean, it's all ETH ecosystem. And so it's
EH.
pretty damn bullish, bro.
Let's do it, man. I don't know what we're doing, but let's do it. Okay, let's talk about this. Crypto funds hit all-time highs posted by Coin Bureau. In May, crypto funds saw $7 billion in inflows, most since December, pushing AUM to a record $167 billion. Investors are hedging volatility and diversifying away from U.S. assets as risk appetite returns. You have this as well. Very bullish on the macro side. U.S. Treasury yields slip as U.S.-China trade talks enter the second day. We'll see if, hopefully there's no mean tweets between Trump and the president of China. U.S. Treasury yields have slipped amid the negotiations, with the 10-year Treasury dropping by 4 basis points. Howard Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce, Commerce Secretary, revealed today that trade talks seeking a breakthrough on export controls are going well. Markets love it. They hate the trade war talk, especially with the top 2 economies in the world. So yeah, you want to see U.S. Treasury yields dip. You want to see interest rates dip. All that money sitting in money market funds will flow. And and so this is all stuff, in my opinion, that we need to really have that massive altcoin season. I want to say thank you, not you, the people watching. Yesterday, I did a poll. Should I close my Bitcoin short up 15% or should I sell it at 110.2? You guys voted. I put in the limit order and it filled. We made some money, $380 or like $370 some dollars, 38%. Got in at 107.150. Got out at that 110.276. And with that being said, I'm going to do a $50 giveaway to the number 1 spot on the rank. So you see those XP ranks, the crowns. Whoever is number 1 at the end of the show, I will send you $50 in USDT. And so I want to thank you. You guys may help make this money for me. Also, if you want to support this channel, there's a link for Buy DeFi. If you're in the U.S., perfect, because there's no VPN, no KYC. And also, once you do it, you can get access to our trading group in Discord, which to you is free. You don't pay us a dime. But all you got to do is create an account with BuyDeFi using our link and then deposit $100. That's it. Get your UID verified and you'll be in the trading. Not only we get our trades, but you'll get the top traders on the BuyDeFi platform scalp and swing signals as well. Also, I hope you were paying attention. This is why you got to follow us on all social medias, because I posted this June 3rd, 7 days ago, exactly 1 week ago. Looks like it's Creator Bid Agent's turn to run. I posted D King and AI on 5,100. D King is currently sitting at, while this thing refreshes, I probably should have refreshed it prior to this. Christopher Columbus, that's probably my new favorite name. Is up 45%. This thing got as high as 56 cents, and then AI on 5,100 had a massive rally. This thing got up to around 85 cents, and you could have scooped this up just 2 days ago at 41 cents. So it would have been a nice 2x in 2 days. And on the third, well, where was it on the third when I posted it? It was like, I think 34 cents or 42 cents, whatever. And so what are these ones? These are Ethereum ecosystem plays. Yes. Okay. What else did I want to go over? Rob, we went over Bitcoin, went over ETH, ICP. Let's take a quick peek at the rest of the market. See some of the, I guess we did the top gainers already, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the top gainers are literally all of the ETH ecosystem. I mean, just to solidify on the coin market cap what we just looked at on the bubble map, you have Uniswap, Sky, AAVE, Arbitrum, Lido, Optimism. I mean, Fartcoin is even an ERC20. So it's, yeah, I mean, it's you don't get until you get down Chainlink. I mean, it's all ETH. What a day! I think that's it's
Chainlink is ETH, Robin. You know that, right?
It's compatible, right? It's not a ERC.
No, it's a ERC20.
Not anymore. No, is it?
Yeah, look on the left sidebar. Contract address?
Yeah. Are they on other networks now, though? No.
No, they just their tokens on ETH, but they facilitate on other networks.
You got Solana Scan. Solscan.io, bro.
Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, including Link, it is a ETH ecosystem. So further, the point of ETH is heating up, and and all jokes aside, and here's what I don't want. I don't want every time we talk about ETH, it'll be Robin said he didn't like it or David said this. We're sharing it because this is just a cycle of the market. We talk about this in our almanac, right? The psychology of how money flows and we're seeing it in real time. Bitcoin, now it's ETH's turn. And guess what? If we get a rally and a new all-time high in ETH, which we will, you're going to see the rest of your all bags pump.
It's just, I'm not against ever buying ETH. I just think that there's a time and a place, and there's, I had a take on ETH in the last 6 months that, hey, I'm not buying this right now. It's just, that was my take for the last 6 months. And look at price action in the last 6 months. It would have been in Bitcoin alone or in damn near any alt, you would have outperformed ETH. And so it's not that I won't touch it. It's just there's certain times that you buy stuff, right? You might not want to buy Bitcoin. You might not want to refinance your house and buy Bitcoin when it's $450,000 in a year. It's probably not the best time to do that. Not saying that it's ever a bad time to buy Bitcoin, but there's just certain periods of time that, like, hey, you might not want to pick it up at this moment if you're going to pull the trigger on a big buy. Same can be said for Ethereum. I'm not sitting here telling you to sell it, but I am telling you that it's certainly, up until this point, it hasn't looked good. And now things have changed. The environment is here. We went from one season to the other. You don't go out here and try to pick fruit in the middle of December. Just don't do it. You wait till summer and then, or maybe fall. And the cycles are very similar. There are different seasons to the cycle. There's altcoin season. We talk about it all the time. And so up until this point, I faded ETH. I thought it was a bad play. But everything at this moment is telling me to buy ETH, or at least to long it. I told you yesterday. What did I say yesterday? I said, hey, Might be a good time to long. Got a pretty big move. And so I still think it's a very good time to buy. Once it gets over that, what did Magic point out? $3,200? Once it gets over 3,200, maybe reevaluate. I think from the price it's at now till $3,200, I think it's a great time to buy. I think where we're going to see, especially if Bitcoin makes that next move, the next leg up, we see that $125,000 Bitcoin. You best believe ETH is going to outperform Bitcoin in that time window. The next 90 days, if I had to pick one, I'm going ETH over Bitcoin. Next 90 days, David, what do you think outperforms, Bitcoin or ETH?
The next 90 days? Ethereum.
Yeah, for me, it's Ethereum, and it's not even close. Now, at the same time, would I buy it for a 1-year hold? Probably not. Still, I don't know. I would still think it's a higher percentage that ETH outperforms Bitcoin, even on the 1 year. And the time is now. Altcoins are about to rip. It's time to make some money. I know that you, the viewer, more than likely have altcoins. I know our community pretty damn well.
Guarantee they have altcoins.
And
there is zero chance we have any maxis in here. Zero.
So yeah, we're about to make some money, guys, and it's going to be off the back of Ethereum first. Then it's going to move to Solana, and then it's going to move to the other cryptos.
Brent Adams said he longed at 1390. I'm assuming he's talking about ETH because up 30K now. Let's go. Hell yeah, brother. It was, yeah, I mean, if you bought ETH at any point under 2,000, I think you made a good decision. From ETH to Polkadot, this is an interesting one. Polkadot just became the first blockchain company to list on the Amsterdam Stock Exchange. It's not just a win for DOT, it's a sign of maturity for crypto.
Decentralized as it gets.
Do you like this?
I don't.
Doesn't that mean it's a security?
It's exactly what it means. It's not like the Polkadot Governance Council just voted to send a representative. Like, no, the devs literally walked down and were like, hey man, can we be publicly traded? That sounds like a good idea. Like, bro, what are you trying to be, man? You trying to be a crypto or what? What are you trying to be? I got a question for you. Polkadot, what are you? What do you identify as today?
Well, they're very fluid.
Are you a company? Are you a crypto?
They're logo fluid. You know, the
Mm.
logo changes.
Yeah. It's just, it's, you know what? I can't fault Polkadot, though. They haven't had much interest lately. They haven't had a lot of headlines. And so if I was in the position of Polkadot, if I was part of the founding team or whoever's in charge there, probably would do the same thing, right? Because what you've been doing is really not moving the needle right now. I'm not saying that it's some dead project, but it's definitely fading. It's definitely losing momentum, and it's losing against its competitors in other layer ones. And so if I was on the Polkadot team, I'd be like, hey man, you know what? Let's publicly list this thing. Let's also start mailing DVDs to people's houses and start streaming services. Like go and do something else, bro.
So dumb. Still remember the Blockbuster days. Those were good days, man.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, they were.
No, they weren't.
They were fun.
I remember. I always remember the lady in front always trying to, because there was always a lady in front of me in line at Blockbuster that lied. She was
lied.
Yeah. She's like, I rewound it last time. Like, no, you didn't, ma'am. I rewound it. Like, and I'm like, we all know you didn't rewind it, girl. Pay your $1.99.
I do want to take a question from, we did open up a Q&A. Greedy Greg said, what's your thoughts on VeChain? I like VeChain. I think it's undervalued. I love the vertical they're in with, supply chain management. And yeah, I think the team, I mean, they got longevity, they got the team. It's just, they got to get the adoption, which they're on their way to getting. I'm a fan of VeChain. I have some in my portfolio. Any thoughts you want to give on VeChain?
I haven't looked at it in a while. However, it's a nice little buzz behind it. And so I think there's going to be a nice rally out of VeChain, and I think it comes this year some point. I think that's going to be one of the sleeper picks. So I think that's one of the ones where like, hey, man, why didn't I buy VeChain? Not a lot of competition in that sector for, on-chain tracking of real-world items. They expand way beyond that. I know that's kind of what their sales pitch was initially upon launch. They're a lot broader now, but very, very strong presence in Asia. Maybe hasn't caught on quite here in the U.S., but I wouldn't be surprised to hear VeChain more of a household name within the next 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, it's currently sitting at, where's VeChain sitting at? I think it's outside the top. Sitting at number 43. Okay, so it's inside the top 50. This is what the 1 year chart looks like. Got to a peak of around, we'll call it 8 cents. It's at 2.5. All-time high. This thing got to a quarter. So yeah. All right, we're done. Let's check see who's number one on the leaderboard. We're gonna give away the $50 too. What does that looks like? Mike Vollmer. All right, Mike, you're the winner. $50. Congrats. Send us a DM on X with your USDT address on Ethereum, and we'll send you your $50. Congratulations, guys. It's pretty easy for this top fans thing. It takes into account how active you are. You like the video. It takes into account super chats. It takes into account super stickers, gifted memberships. And so we want to reward those that are most active in our chat. And so thank you, guys. And again, congrats to Mike. Stay in here because you're about to be redirected to our man Forrest, who's running the cysteine trading stream right now. And so if you just stay in here, you automatically be redirected. And then once you go in there, drop an OLA, OLA, and let Forrest know who you represent. With that being said, Gina, thank you all so much for tuning in. Appreciate every single one of you. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then.
Cash is cool, Sin City, crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, to my bad.